Hey Songwriters, Danny here, founder of Songwriters International. Now in today's video, I'm going to share with you the one thing that every songwriter makes the mistake of doing at some point in their career. And having mentored over 3,000 songwriters, it is the most common thing that I see in songwriting. So I want to make sure that you're not making it, and if you are, how do we stop from doing it continually? Now before we jump on into the training, I also want to share with you that I've got an opportunity to book a one-to-one strategy call with me where we can go through your songwriting, specifically your lyrics, your melodies, your structures, your goals, and put you on the path to go on and sustain a career within songwriting. So if you would like to take that opportunity, it's limited, it's down in the description below. Click the link, head on over to the next page, and you can go and check that out. But without further ado, let's jump on in to this. And before I do really jump on into this, I want to share this. No rules, just guidelines. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, but what I actually mean by this is that with songwriting, there are no set rules. There is no set way of writing a song, but there are best practices, there are guidelines that we can follow to allow us to get the best possible song out the end. So I'm not here to set a way that you should write a song, but I am here to give you the guidelines to give you the best opportunity of success with your songs. Now before we even pick up an instrument, a guitar, go to the piano, write a lyric or even a melody, there are some key things that we must consider before we even go on and write the song. Let's share that with you. Now this question here, you should be asking yourself every single time you sit down to write a song. What is the end goal? Now what do I mean by end goal? I mean, is the goal for you with this song to go on and monetize it for another artist to go on and perform? Is the end goal just for personal consumption? You don't really care if this goes on and becomes very successful because it's more about self-expression. Is this end goal for the song to be in sync, in TV, in adverts and things like that? This question and the answer that then you provide yourself when you sit down at the start of the session is going to determine the type of song that you actually go on to write. But here's the big mistake that I see so many songwriters make. They never ask themselves this question. So let's say, for example, you ask yourself this question at the start of the session, and your answer to the question is, well, the end goal of this song is just for personal expression. I don't want this song to go on and do anything. Then there's no rules, there's no guidelines that you need to follow because you are going to determine whether that song is successful in your eyes because it's just merely a self-expression song. But if you answer differently to the question and you say, well, the goal of this song is for it to be in TV and adverts, I want it to go into sync. The way that we sit down to actually write that song is going to be entirely different to what it would be if we were just writing for self-expression. And the reason we want to understand the end goal of the song, the reason we are writing the song, is because then it will give us the answers to questions like this. What is going to be the length of the song? And we're going to go and give an example of this in a second. But depending if you want to pitch the song to a rock artist versus a pop artist, or you want to present it to sync, that's going to determine the length of song that you're going to be following. Or, for example, is it going to be more hook focused versus story? For example, if you're writing a folk song, then it's going to be more story focused. If you're writing a pop song, it's going to be more hook driven. And another one is instruments. For example, if you're writing a dance song, you might be more inclined to use a piano or synths, versus, let's say, a country song might be more inclined to use guitars. Now, there's multiple other things that we'll go through here that we need to consider once we answer that first question, which is what is the end goal of the song? So what I want to do with you is give an example of this. Imagine I was sitting down in my studio to write a song today and I was going through this process. So I asked that first initial question. What is the end goal of this song that I am writing? So I might come back and I might say I want it to be pitched and then be monetized with an artist. I want another artist to go on and perform the song that I'm writing. So once I've identified that, then I need to understand what genre of song am I going to write. Am I going to write a folk song, or a country, or a rock, or a soul? In this particular instance, I'm just going to say, for simplicity, I'm going to write a pop song. Okay, so I'm going to write a pop song that I want to be pitched to artists that I want to go on and be released so I can monetize the song. So I know straight away I've got guidelines to follow. Now these aren't rules, as I said before. They're not rules, but they are guidelines. So I know it's going to follow a fairly simple structure, something like this. It's going to start with a verse, and then it's going to go possibly into a chorus. And then from a chorus, it might go back into our verse 2. From a verse 2, we're going to go into a chorus. From this chorus, we might go into a bridge. And then from the bridge, we might finish off with the chorus times 2. Now, in pop music, you can see the focus is on the chorus. It's got 4 repetitions. For example, also, if we're writing a pop song, we might take away the bridge and we might introduce a pre-chorus in the song. But we have guidelines dependent on the genre of song that we're writing. But for this purpose, we're writing a pop song that we want to go on and be released with artists and be monetized. So you can see straight away, I have some guidelines to follow. I also know that the song is going to be somewhere between 2:30 to 3:30. That's the magic time frame for a pop song. I know that the chorus is going to be within 1 minute because we don't want to keep the listener waiting. So like I say, I know that the song is going to fall within this kind of bracket of 2:30. It's going to be a minimum of that, and it's typically going to be a maximum of around 3:30. And I know that the chorus has to come in before 1 minute, or at the latest 1 minute. As I also shared with you before with that particular structure, there's going to be a lot of focus on the chorus, or shall we say, the hook, because of the certain type of marketplace that we're writing for. The type of listeners in pop, a lot of the time, are very hook driven, very chorus driven. So we want repetition. We know we want the chorus a minimum of 3 times, upwards to 6. And again, these are some guidelines that we're following, because as I will always say to you, success leaves clues, right? There's no reason for us to go and rip up the book of pop songs and go completely against everything. Now, if you are a major artist, let's say you're a Taylor Swift, you're an Ed Sheeran, you're The Weeknd, then by all means you can go and do whatever you want, because you're already at the point of very successful and you've got an army of people that listen to your music regardless of what it is you write. But if you're in a place where you want your first song taken, perhaps you want your first few songs taken, you've got your first success and you want to continue that on, then don't go and try and rip up the entire rule book of songwriting, or shall I say guideline book, right? Because success leaves clues. Just follow what has proven to work before us. What has been before us? Is it that verses are very popular now? Or is it that choruses and hooks are always going to be a very big focus? What is it that's gone before us that we can actually dive into, leverage, and then come out the other side to help us write a better song at the end, with the chance of that song going on to be successful? Now, this ties me into the mistake that I see so many songwriters make, and this doesn't matter what genre you write, whether you write pop, soul, funk, folk, country, or anything else in between. What I'm sharing with you is the exact same method for a pop song versus a rock song. The same questions, except the length of song will be different, the way that the song is structured, the way that the lyric is structured, but you'll find that there's guidelines for every single genre, but the guidelines change. So versus a pop song versus a country song, the country song might be more story driven, might be more lyric focused. A folk song won't have any choruses in, so it's just a verse structure and possibly have a bridge somewhere there within the song. But you can see each genre has its own guideline. But as I was saying, what this actually ties in very well is the mistake that I see so many songwriters making. They'll come to me, okay, so let's suppose this example. Songwriter comes to me with 2 to 3 songs. Okay, so they've got 2 to 3 songs that they believe in, that they have spent so much time crafting and writing, and they say, hey Danny, I want your help with pitching these to an artist. Now again, let's just say for this example, these are pop songs, these are pop artists, and they say, I want to get these two to 3 songs into the hands of artists so I can get them released and go on and monetize my music. Now, what they never did was ask those questions that I asked you to ask yourself before, right? What is the end goal of this song? Because if you understand that, then the guidelines that you follow are going to be set in stone for you. But what happens is, some songwriters will come to me with pop songs, let's say for example, or country songs or whatever it may be. But for this, let's just say pop songs. And these 2 to 3 songs will be something like this. So if I take this off of here, and they will be, let's say, 5-minute songs. So straight away, they're not following a guideline. the chorus will come in at 2 minutes. The structure of the song will be something like this. So they'll have 3 verses before they even get to the chorus. Or they might have 4 verses, right? But they'll completely rip up the guideline sheet. They won't follow the success leave clues, what I'm sharing with you, and they'll just go with what they believe in. So then straight away what we're trying to do is fit something in that doesn't work. And then they come with the songs, truly believing in them, fantastic. But unfortunately, they don't follow the guidelines of what the artists are wanting in 2025, right? We've got to keep up to date with what they want today. If you want to write for today's industry, if you want to write for today's artists in 2025, then the truth is you cannot continue writing songs how it may have been 10 years ago, maybe even 20 years ago, or even in some cases 50 years ago, right? It changes, it evolves. Now again, if you ask that question yourself, what is the end goal of the song? And you just say it's for personal consumption, it's for you to just feel proud of, and there's no real desire for that song to go on and do anything, then you do not need to follow any guidelines whatsoever, because it's up to you to determine whether that song is something that you truly believe in or not. But as soon as you then want to start writing for a project of today, whether that is sync, TV, adverts, artists, whatever it may be, in whatever genre you're writing, then we must follow some guidelines of today. What is working? You're probably all aware of fashion trends. What was popular in the 80s fashion-wise is not necessarily popular today. And then in 10 years, you know that fashion will evolve. Perhaps the style of the 90s will come back round to 2030, whatever it might be. It's the same with songs. Songs have trends, genres have trends, and they evolve. What happens 10 years ago might not be today's trend. What happens in 10 years' time might be the trend of the 90s. And we have to keep up with what's going on, depending on what the end goal of the song is. So what I really recommend for you after this video is identify your genre if you haven't already. And if you're not entirely sure of what your genre is, or you don't want to put yourself into a box, then just go and listen to the songs that you've written and you will have a good understanding of what you believe that genre to be. Now you can write multiple genres, of course, then go and listen to multiple genres and identify the genre, analyze that genre. What is going on? How do they structure their songs? What do they do? Do they have an instrumental hook at the beginning, or do they just come straight in to the song? Is it more lyric focused versus hook focused? What types of instruments are being used? All of these things then we can use to our benefit because they are guidelines. They're not rules, but guides that we can follow to give us the greatest chance of success with the song. So going forwards, I really want you to focus on this question. What is the end goal, okay? If we start at the end, then we know how to start the beginning. But unfortunately, so many writers start at the beginning without focusing on the end, and then when those things don't connect, then unfortunately that song can't go on and actually do anything. So if your end goal is to write for sync, monetize your songs, pitch to artists, and actually do this as a career, then I really suggest that you focus on the end goal before you start the beginning of the song. If you're writing for personal consumption, personal enjoyment, and for yourself, then that is absolutely fine. You don't really need to answer this question as much. So go ahead, do this when you're songwriting before you even begin the process. And as I mentioned before, if you want to speak with me on a one-to-one call where we can go through your songwriting, your goals, and how to put you on the path to success, then in the description below you can book that call with me, and I would absolutely love to jump from here and jump into a call together. If you haven't already, please consider dropping a subscribe for us here on this channel. Hope you've enjoyed the video, and I'll see you over on another one.